Okay, so this is going to be a short video to kind of summarize all the learning targets for our Unit 3, and our test is going to be on Tuesday. So make sure that you get a chance to look over this video and review all the concepts within. I'm going to try to keep it as short as possible, knowing that you can pause the video and replay it whenever you can, because if I make it too long, the upload won't go up online for me. Alright, so here we go. Let's take a look at our first learning target for Unit 3's test. If we look at learning target number 1 on top here, we must be able to multiply a fraction, whole number, or mixed number. So I kind of took the hardest scenario here as the example, as being able to multiply two mixed numbers together. So our example is 2.5 times 3 4/5. The first thing I want the students to be able to do is to change 2.5 and 3 4/5 into fractions. Currently they are mixed numbers. So to determine fractions, we're going to take the denominator of 2 and multiply it by the whole number 2. And 2 times 2 is 4. And then we'll add the numerator and get 5. And we keep the denominator, so we have 5 halves. So basically we're figuring out how many halves are in 2.5. And we get 5 halves. Now we're multiplying it by 3 4/5, but we need to turn that also into the fraction, doing the same process. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 4 is 19 fifths. So there are 19 fifths in 3 4/5. Now we can first check to see if we can cross simplify anything. 5 and 5 we can cross simplify and make that 1, because 5 goes into 5 one time. And 5 goes into this 5 also one time. 19 and 2 we cannot cross simplify because they are both prime numbers. 1 times 19 is 19. And 2 times 1 is 2. Which is equal to, how many 2's go on to 19? Or if we go like this, we figure out 19 divided by 2. 2 goes into 19, let's see, 9 times, which is 18. We subtract and we get 1. Our remainder becomes our numerator and our answer. Our divisor becomes our denominator. So we have 9 wholes and a half. So 9 and 1/2. As our answer. So students need to be able to do this on their tests. The next learning target. This is probably the best one for the kids as far as success goes. I can divide a whole number by a whole number in cases where the quotient, meaning the answer, is a fraction or mixed number. So, for instance, if we had a problem like this, 12 divided by 5, maybe I have 12 cookies and I want to share them with 5 people. How many cookies will each person get? Well, we can say each person can get 12 fifths. Our dividend, our first number is our dividend is also our numerator. And I know these letters aren't closing very well. Looks like you used some of those A's. And our divisor is the denominator. Okay? So you can see that when I put it into fraction form, 12 is our numerator, 5 is our denominator. Each person gets 12 fifths, or 12 divided by 5, if you want to write it out, or they can do it mentally. 5 goes into 12 2 times. 2 times 5 is 10. You subtract and you get 2. Your remainder is your numerator. Your divisor is your denominator. And there's your whole number. So you have 2 and 2/5 cookies for each person. Let's take a look at our next learning goal. I can divide a unit fraction. So we're looking at here, this is a unit fraction where we have a 1 as the numerator by a whole number. So we know that when we divide, we're actually relating it to multiplication. We're going to take the inverse of division, which is multiplication, and multiply it by the reciprocal of 3, which is 1/3. So 1/2 divided by 3 is 1/6. Now you also need to be able to take a whole number and divide it by a unit fraction. So I use the same numbers to kind of show you how the two answers will relate. So same thing, we're going to take the opposite, the inverse of division, which is multiplication, and then we're going to take the reciprocal of the divisor, the second number in this division sentence, which will just be 2, which equals 6. Okay, 3 times 2 is 6. So you're taking the opposite of division, making it multiplication, and then you're always taking the second number in the division sentence, known as the divisor. You're always taking the reciprocal of the divisor, or the second number. Let's move on. This learning goal is about making a prediction of the answer. I can predict how a product will compare to one factor based on the size of the other. So maybe you're going to see a problem like this on the test. 4/5 times 1/3 equals x. And it may ask you to relate x to the second factor. Is x going to be greater than, less than, or equal to the second factor? So if we're thinking of this problem as multiplication, we can replace that multiplication sign with the word of. So what is 4/5? What is the 4/5 of 1/3? Well, if we think of it that way, we're taking a part of what was the whole for this case scenario. So what is 4/5 of 1/3? Well, we can make a prediction that it's going to be, x is going to be less than 1/3. And if we check our work, 4/5 times 1/3 equals, we can't cross simplify, 4/15, which is less than 1/3. So that does work out to be true. Let's try our last learning target for Unit 3. I can solve real-world problems that involve division of fractions. So here's just a quick problem I came up with that the students will be having to do on the test. I have 1/3 pound of ground beef. I want to make 2 burgers for lunch this weekend. How much ground beef will be on each burger? So students need to know that they are taking 1/3 pound and they're needing to divide that into 2 because there's 2 separate burgers. Well, here's that skill from the previous learning goal. I think it was the third learning goal. Dividing a unit fraction by a whole number. So the same skills, just now in a problem-solving setting. So you take 1/3 and you take the inverse of division, which is multiplication, and you always take the reciprocal of the second one. So we times 1 times 1, and we get 1. And 3 times 2 is 6. So 1/6 pound would be our answer, and it's important that students write the unit. We're working with pounds here. Okay, so 1/6 pound on each burger. Let me know if you have any questions. This is a 7-minute video or so, and I'm going to stop it here and upload it so you guys can get access, and hopefully this helps out.